Okay, let me start the screen presentation. Okay, so everyone can see everyone can see my screen, right?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Those are part, yeah. So is the PPT visible now?
Not visible, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Visual, sir. Visual.
I think it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm. So good evening, everyone. So let us start today and with rain and homeopathy. So let us discuss what usually happens with rainy season. Like what all illnesses usually we come across with the patients. First is cold and cough, sneezing, runny nose, headache, sore throat. These are the common symptoms and which can affect with any age group during monsoon. Correct? And this is the hustle. What to give, what to not. Next, typhoid. One of the epidemics during monsoon, during due to like people eat outside food, contaminated food and water. They suffer from typhoid fever. This is the most common. Along with this, what happens? They have symptoms of diarrhea, constipation, and headache. Next, malaria, dengue are the quite common monsoon diseases due to mosquitoes. And there is fever, shivering, headache, weakness, muscle pains, and also along with this, they have rashes. So usually everyone knows about chikungunya or dengue remedy, that is Epitorium perforatum. Next, also people suffer from hepatitis A or E. It's a common monsoon disease due to contaminated food and water which spreads through fecal oral route. And commonly the remedy which you can think of, that is Nux vomica. Dr. Kadambari,
Yes, sir.
I have made you the co-host. Actually, people are still late, and it's really bugging me. They need to add up again and again. So, can you see the people? Are you getting the option to add the people?
Let me check once.
So, you can add the people, and I won't be disturbed, and I can continue the session. It's really
No,
bugging me up. Like,
so I am not getting the option to add.
you're not getting it?
No.
Okay, so let the people wait. I am not going to do again and again. Fine. So next is what type of diseases get aggravate in rainy season. That is allergic asthma. This is more severe intensity and frequency during monsoons, and you will encounter on a daily basis the people are suffering from more of dyspnea, respiration, their difficulty in breathing, and they cannot breathe. And along with this, what happens? Due to the dampness, also complaints get aggravated. And the most common problem in rainy season, that is amoebiasis. That is during monsoon, as the parasite that is Entamoeba histolica, which is responsible, it tends to survive for long under warm and moist conditions. So it enters to the body through food or water and produces again dysentery, diarrhea, blood, mucus. And generally, there are many remedies for amoebiasis also.
Commonly, we can think is aloes here.
Yes, you can think of aloes, you can think of natrum sulf, dampness. So all remedies should cover damp weather aggravation generally. That is the most common factor here, which will actually help you to distinguish other remedies also.
Right.
Now, to speak about more, what more you can have. So let us discuss with what is the scenario here. Today we'll discuss with all the diseases, what diseases can be like you suffer from in rainy season, and then we'll discuss about the remedies, and we know what to do and what to not in rainy season. So fungal infection are the most common during monsoons because of the constant dampness and the possibility of coming in contact with filthy water. And this moisture present in environment helps the fungi to grow. And especially what happens? People will come have their eruptions and skin folds in the groins between the toes. Also, conjunctivitis, tonsillitis, earache, pneumonia, diarrhea, dysentery, vomiting, and like in bacillus dysentery, you can think of Merck salt. Tonsillitis, Britacarb. Bronchitis, phosphorus. Staphylococcal diarrhea, you can think of McCarb. Impetigo, you can think of nitric acid. So these are the few examples which I want to share with you, everyone. Next, gastroenteritis is a general term that is refers to infection that is bacterial or viral of the gastrointestinal tract. It gives rises to several problems such as what happens in gastroenteritis. People will come with acute stomach ache and the diarrhea and the vomiting. And what happens? There will be like vital loss of the fluids. And at last, what happens? They dehydrate. And usually, what children are the mostly affected people in this due to unhygienic surroundings, contaminated water, food items, and overcrowding. That also is the culprit. Now, very interestingly, how to differentiate bacterial versus viral. So we all know this is a very basic thing. We all know when we send the patient for a CBC, if the TLC is increased, it will be bacterial infection. And if it's coming down, it will be a viral infection. So platelet count will be between how much? 1 lakh or 1,50,000 in most of the viral diseases. So mind. Let us start with mind. What the complaints people have in rainy season in mind. First, if the person has a lot of irritability during this rainy weather, LOs comes first, and next is amon carb. And interestingly, many people are there who have fear of rain. And the topmost remedy for that is Naja. Naja doesn't like rain. Why? Because as a snake, they if they have like they burrow their holes, right? They have their kids in the holes, the snakes. So they have a strong fear if there is rain, their kids will die, the eggs will die inside. So out of this, they have developed this fear, especially snakes like elapse, naja are the main remedies for fear of rain. Next, mind anxiety during rain. That is also calcarea carb and elapse. Next, mind discontent and displeased, dissatisfied rainy weather during LOs is the single remedy for this. Laziness in damp weather. Imagine there's a lot of laziness in damp weather. That is sanguinaria canadensis. Next, head. if you get a headache due to getting wet, you can think of belladonna, calcarea, colchicum, dulcamara, ledampal, natramute, nux moscata, phosphorus, pulsatilla, rustox, sepia. Calcarea and rustox are the most prominent and high-grade remedies for this. Of course, the prescription should be on base of individualization, not simply seeing the rubrics and giving the remedy. And very interestingly, in rainy weather, the scalp gets itchy or there is a lot of dandruff only in rainy weather. That's it. Only in rainy weather, patient will come and say, I get a lot of dandruff. You think of meg carb. Magnesium carb is the only remedy which is mentioned in Materia Medica. Next, ailments of getting wet getting head, that is, I told you, belladonna, pulsatilla, sepia, rustox. Next, headache. What happens? Many people will come and complain that I have severe headache in rainy weather. So let me tell you, before thunderstorm approaches, there are two remedies. Like before the monsoon starts, only two remedies, that is phosphorus and rhododendron. So keep in mind, before rainy season starts, only two remedies come across. If the patient complains before the rainy weather starts or before the clouds come, before the rain starts, I'm repeating the line, before the rain starts and complaints get aggravated, that's phosphorus and rhododendron. These two. So coming up next, headache. Headache from damp, on the change of damp weather or rainy days, glonine. Next, headaches. I have taken the rubric hemicrania, migraine, semilateral. Okay, semilateral pain, eyes, supraorbital during cold rainy weather, throbbing or tearing, stitching with redness and lacrimation of the affected side, spigelia. Only single remedy. Next, headache, pulsating and throbbing weather in damp, windy weather, that is Moxol. So somebody has a pulsating and throbbing headache in wet weather, that is Moxol. That's a single remedy. Next, if somebody has a general headache in windy weather, basilinum. Next, somebody has only forehead bone pain in evening in damp weather, Bovista. I hope you are noting it down. Next, only in temples. Somebody has complaining that I have only in temples the headache on rainy weather, that is Nux moscata. Next, eyes. Eyes inflammation, conjunctivitis after getting wet in the rain, that is calcarea and rustox. Next, neuralgia, cold from centers above, below in damp rainy weather, spigelia, single remedy. Now, interestingly, I came across about this. If somebody complains of loss of vision in damp weather, that is crotalus horridus, according to Murphy. Single. Next, cold and cough. Cold and cough are the most tricky, difficult situation when we come across during the with the patients. But let me tell you, it's a very easy when you actually evaluate the symptoms very well. Then only you can prescribe based on totality. So the first thing is cough after getting wet. We all know Dulcamara. Fine. What other remedies we should think of? That is Nux vomica, Sorinum, Pulsatilla, Rustox, Calcarea sulf, and Nux moscata also. Now, cough after getting feet wet. Interestingly, only one remedy is there. That is Nux moscata. Let me get you example. If somebody is walking in the rain and has wet socks, if their feet get wet or they have wore socks and their feet get wet, and for a longer period they have walked in the rain, and after that cough started, you can think of Nux moscata. Respiratory from getting wet, respiratory dyspnea, that is dyspnea difficult. Respiration is difficult from getting wet, that is phosphorus and sepia. Only these two remedies has complaints, that is respiration difficult after getting wet in the rain. Next, asthma in wet weather, entim tart, arsenic, aurum, dulcamara, medorinum, natrum sulf, thuja. So you can see all psychotic remedies like medorinum, natrum sulf, thuja, very, very important remedies in this monsoon season. You should learn these remedies very well because this is gonna help you a lot. In COPD, which COPD cases get aggravated in monsoon season, that is arsenic, dulcamara, magnum aceticum, silicea as well. Next, voice hoarseness after getting wet. Rustox is the single remedy for that. Interestingly, voice lost in wet weather, Brita carb. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, inflammation of the throat. The first remedy to the thought of that is Kali bichrome. Now, in pain in throat, in the wet weather aggravation, there is a rubric in which calcarea carb leads along with dulcamara, rustox, saccharum album, phosphorus, kola nut, lachesis, and hipersulf. Sore throat in wet weather, calcarea, dulcamara, hipersulf, and rustox are the most prominent remedies, but you need to evaluate. Next, nasal obstruction, that is dry. Think of Kali bichrome, dry. Nasal obstruction in wet weather, dulcamara, magnum aceticum. Now, as soon as the person gets wet in the rain and starts sneezing, single remedy, that is Ocimum sanctum, not canum. Ocimum sanctum. Now, coryza after getting wet, pulsatilla, rustox, and sepia. Coryza wet weather, Merxol, pulsatilla. Now, nose coryza wet weather aggravation, that is warm, wet weather. So there is sun as well and there is rain as well. Think of Caro wedge. Windy, cold, wet weather, windy. So there is strong winds coming in the wet weather. Think of Allium cepa and somebody gets cold in it. Sinusitis which gets aggravated, dulcamara is the main remedy. Next, cough in rainy weather, Brita carb. Do you know Brita carb, dulcamara complementary remedy is Brita carb. So never underestimate the power of Brita carb as well. Next, voice hoarseness in damp weather, carbo wedge, sulfur. Now, interestingly, what happens when you live in a heavy rainy towns where there is excessive rainfall, heavy rains, there are two remedies very helpful, that is dulcamara and lemna minor. So never forget these remedies. Rainy weather, nose obstruction, like infants gets nose obstruction in rainy weather. The first remedy to the thought of that is dulcamara. Next, rainy weather, thick yellow greenish discharge, elapse. Elapse is the remedy where there is thick yellow greenish discharge in rainy weather. And the polyps. Polyps, I want to speak about lemna minor is a wonderful remedy for polyps, which especially in heavy rains, they get aggravated and they continuously they'll complain and come to you and then complain that they have obstruction in cold weather. Ear pain. Ear pain, wet weather aggravation like calcarea phos, dulcamara, Merxol, natrum sulf, nux moscata, petroleum. These are the top remedies which can help ear pain in cold and rain, that is chamomilla and nux vomica. So there is cold also and there is raining as well. So that is chamomilla and nux vomica. How? The draft of air aggravates. Hearing impaired difficult in wet weather. So this was very interesting, where people get hearing impaired during raining weather or damp wet weather. You can think of these remedies like aconite, calendula, dulcamara. Yes, calendula is a wonderful remedy for this. Magnum aceticum, Merxol, pulsatilla, silicea, and viscum album. Interestingly, if somebody has a hearing difficulty and they yawn, they can hear. Only one remedy in Metra Medica, that is silicea. Now, interestingly, hearing impaired due to bone conduction deficient or absent, chenopodium, natrum salicylum, and silicea. These three are the only remedy for this. Now, damp wet weather, cold aggravation in ears, if there any complaints come, magnum aceticum and rhododendron. Stitching pain like lightning, patient will come and they'll say there's stitching pain, chub raha hai, and this lightning like. Also they complain that ghav like lag raha hai. That's a damp weather aggravation, that is natrum sulf. Now Somebody complains that something is stuck inside before windy rainy weather. Before that seasons before, that is Nux moschato. Now, coming to the face part, if the patient complains eruptions in the wet weather, in papular, especially papular eruptions on the chin area, chin area, sepia is the only one remedy in the rainy season. I repeat, papular eruptions on the chin area, sepia during this damp weather season. Now, eruptions on face after getting wet, euphrasia. Paralysis after getting wet, paralysis of the face, causticum rustox. Bell's palsy after getting wet, causticum. Now, face, there is fungus hematodes like cancer. Under the cancer, you will find left lower jaw in damp wet weather, thuja. Face, tearing pain in wet weather, that is Merksol, rhododendron rustox, veratrum. Face pale in damp weather, wet weather, pale. So there is paleness of face during this weather. If you see someone, that is Elos and Nux moschato, only two remedies. Now face red in damp weather, Urtica urens and sulfur. Toothache. Interestingly, toothache, the majorly people with a hollow tooth and their pain gets aggravated in damp weather. The think of remedy, only remedy, that is borax. Yes, hollow. Yeah, there is a rubric also, teeth pain, toothache, hollow teeth in damp weather. Borax is a single remedy. Next, tooth pain evening in the cold air wind during damp weather, that is Nux moschato. And after getting wet, only Calcarea lachesis and rustox. Now toothache burrowing, what they complain, जैसे कि अंदर कोई गड्ढा कर रहा है, the burrowing digging pain, that in damp weather, that is natrum carb. That the toothache. So interestingly, we have a great impact on toothache as well in damp weather. Next, toothache after getting wet. Suppose a person gets wet in the rain and they have toothache, and if they apply fingers on the tooth, it amels the pain. Interestingly, that is chamomilla. Next, coming to the chest part, there is inflammation in children in rainy season and also they have offensive night sweats with like bronchitis. Think of Dulcamara. Bronchitis in rainy weather, aggravation, Dulcamara. Chest pain, sore, bruised, Phytolacca. Mastitis after getting wet, Phytolacca. Pneumonia in wet weather, Natrum sulfuricum. Chest pain in weather, general chest pain, wet weather aggravation, you can think of Kali carb, ranunculus bulbosus, natrum carb is highly grade. Next, started after change in weather. Like there is a remedy called ammoniacum. Ammoniacum is an old people antiemtat like hippogenum. Those who have attended my sessions, they know hippogenum is a old people antiemtat. Yes. So ammoniacum was also one of the remedy where they have a lot of chest congestion in this old people, especially cold damp weather in old people. Worse cold damp weather, think of ammoniacum. When you tired of giving all the indicated remedies, you can give ammoniacum. It definitely helps. Next, asthma and rain. Interesting part is you need to prepare with yourself with all the weapons what we have in asthma, because what is deadly here is patient will keep on complaining that I am feeling breathlessness, please help me doctor. So in damp weather, the first remedy we all know, Dulcamara. So there are other remedies as well like Blata, Entimtat, China, Hypericum, Kalibai, Meadow, Natrum Sulf, Psychotic Co, like Thuja, Veratrum, Gingiber. So let me tell you, you have to do the clear differentiation between Medorhinum, Natrum Sulf, Kalibai, Dulcamara. Everybody has their own typical symptoms like inspiration difficult, expiration difficult. So the symptoms wise, you need to consider what is the problem with them. Whether they can breathe easily or they cannot breathe easily or they cannot inhale easily or they can inhale easily but exhale difficult. So these little things will actually help you to differentiate these remedies. Now, interestingly, in this weather, they feel better. All the asthmatic patients feel better. That is costigum, hyperself people, and sebal cerulata. These people feel absolutely better. Their asthma complaints are absolutely better in wet weather. Now, which people aggravated? Oramet, Britaca, Belladonna, Carbovex, Ipecac, and also Syphilinum. So more than natrum sulf in rainy weather, arsenic is used. Everyone abuses arsenic, but literally, yes, asthma, cold, damp weather, arsenic is one of the very, very beautiful remedy which can be given. Definitely, you need to correlate with the symptoms. Don't just prescribe blindly. Now, ars iode is better by damp weather. To compare, ars iode is better by damp weather. Medorinum is better in damp weather. Spongia is also better, and Nux vomica also better. So I'm talking about only asthma. Hypersulf is better in rainy, and Aconite is also better in rainy weather. Now let me tell you, two remedies are very, very better in damp weather. That is causticum and Nux vomica. So two remedies which are very much better. Their all complaints gets better in damp weather. That is causticum and Nux vomica. Now coming to the abdomen part, diarrhea after getting wet in the rain. Dulcamara is the first remedy. Rustox, Veratrum. Next, diarrhea after getting feet wet. Rustox. Abdominal pain in wet weather. Magnum aceticum, Dulcamara, natrum sulf, and arsenic. Now, stomach pain in wet weather. Kalicar, Magnum aceticum, sulfur. Now, interestingly, I have found this. Where there is fullness of sensation in damp weather, Merck Sol is the only remedy. So in season, damp weather season, patient complain with their fullness in the abdomen. You know Merck Sol. And they may suffer from gastroenteritis as well. So you have to see other aspects also. Now coming to the male. So in rainy weather, in male, they can have pain in testicles, darting to stomach, and at night, the only and only remedy is Hema melis. Hema melis. Female. Female men's painful dysmenorrhea if she's living in a damp house. What do you mean by damp house? Anyone? Anyone?
पानी भरा
Yes.
रहता है जहाँ पे
Yes. पानी भरा
Moisture
जाता है या छत का waterproofing नहीं कराते हैं. Those people haven't done the waterproofing in their terrace and they live in that rooms. When you file what we call in Hindi, that is sealan.
Where the floors and
Sealan.
cellars.
सीलन सीलन
जहाँ पे सीलन है उस घर में रहते हैं उसको खांसी हो रहा है. The first remedy you can think of that is natrum sulfuricum. Let me tell you. Tired of their cough and dysmenorrhea, especially the single remedy, living in a damp house, dysmenorrhea, Nux moscata is the single remedy. Now, coming to the menses suppressed in damp weather, that is natramur, aconite, helleborus, graphite, dulcamara, rustox, senecio aureus, and also xanthoxylum. Now, coming to the urine part. What happens when persons complain of retention of urine in wet weather, cold wet weather? Dulcamara, let me tell you, Dulcamara has a superb remedy even for stricture of urethra. If you read Dulcamara urination symptoms, you will get it. So Dulcamara is a wonderful remedy for UTIs and urinary tract infections also. They should have all the symptoms of Dulcamara, but coming to the rainy part, Dulcamara have retention of urine very, very marked, along with Gelsemium, Rustox, and Aconite. Now, retention of urine after feet getting wet, Allium cepa, Rustox. Dysuria in rainy weather, Colibacillinum. Colibacillinum is E. coli. E. coli, yes, E. coli. E. coli is the whenever you do the culture, you'll find E. coli bacteria a lot, like 1 lakh count, 2 lakh count, and you're struggling with the case not getting better. Please give Colibacillinum. It straight away acts. Allium cepa also. Frequent urination after getting wet, Senecio aureus. Frequent urination on exposure to cold and wet weather, Calcarea, Pulsatilla, Sarsaparilla, sulfur. And what happens when patients complain of scanty urine in wet weather? Colchicum. Colchicum. Coming to the skin part, all skin complaints get aggravated during wet weather, dalka mara. But interestingly, being a chilly remedy, dalka mara, cold air amends the complaint of dalka mara. Yes. Suppose even if they get urticaria in wet weather and you give dalka mara, and they feel and as soon as they sit in near the AC, they feel better. The cold air amends the complaint. That is dalka mara. Cracked urticaria from rain, rust talks. Cracked skin, hands getting from wet. Like people are working on a lot in the water in the damp season. You can think of Cistus canadensis. Yes, beautiful remedy. Sepia, sulfur, calcarea carb, rust talks. Now, herpes in damp weather. So people complaining of herpes or getting herpetic eruptions in damp weather aggravation, the only and only remedy that is ranunculus bulbosus. Skin complaints aggravate during wet weather, Dalkamara and Sorina. Skin itching in damp wet weather, that is Dalkamara, Macar, Sorinum, sulfur. Now, urticaria get worse in cold damp wet weather, that is Natrum, Mure. Interestingly, all the corn people complain of their aggravation and they have typical stitching pain. Stitching pain in the corn, that is borax, is a single remedy for that. Coming to the rheumatism part, rainy weather MLs, like I told you, causticum and nux vomica. Numbness of hand getting wet, rust talks. Pain, wet weather aggravation, calcarea carb, colchicum, pulsatilla, rhododendron, Merck's sol, rust talks, veratrum. These are the main remedies which complains during wet weather. Now, interestingly, one remedy, I think many people might be knowing it, the bone pain are not better by motion and aggravates due to dampness weather. Think of Stillingia. Stillingia is a syphilitic remedy, let me tell you. Next, pain, aching wrist during rainy weather. Erigeron. Yes, erigeron is typically given for menometrorrhagias, bright red bleeding continuously, bright red like phosphorus not getting stopped. You can immediately give erigeron and the blood will stop. That is the power of erigeron. Patient also gets pale in that due to bleeding. So next, sciatica in women, especially pain worse in morning, not better by lying, and they worse in rainy and stormy weather. Ranunculus bulbosus is the only remedy where sciatica gets aggravated. Next, pain, feet, wet weather aggravation, talcamara, rhododendron, rust talks. Pain in joints, wet weather aggravation, rust talks. Everyone knows rust talks. Stiffness in wrist, rust talks. Pain in wrist, rhododendron. Inflammation in joints in rainy weather, natrum sulf. Inflammation in toes, only in toes during rainy weather, nitric acid. Interestingly, wandering pains during rainy weather, that is meadorhinum, especially heavy in right side, meadorhinum. Pain in wet weather aggravates meadow and thuja. All the neuralgic pains get aggravation in wet weather, that is meadorhinum, and the people complain with tearing pain, that is thuja. Interestingly, rheumatic pain in joints, everyone knows about rhododendron, but let me tell you, there is another remedy, that is melilotus also. Stiffness in back, phytolacca and rustox. Back pain, wet weather aggravation, calcarea, dulcamara, nux moscata, phytolacca, rhododendron, rustox. Sciatica, wet weather, that is ML. The only and only remedy where sciatica pains get better in wet weather, that is Asaram Upurium. Yes, Asaram Upurium is a remedy where sciatica gets better during wet weather. Back pain, spine stiffness. So patient will come and the spine will be very stiff in rainy weather. The only and only remedy, that is Nux moscata. That is single remedy, Nux moscata. They have typical stiffness in the spine in wet weather. Also, they complain of, they have thoracic pain. In middle of thoracic, they have pain. That is Nux moscata. Interestingly, Bone pains after checked gonorrhea or worse on night or in damp weather or after taking cold in water. Sarsaparilla. Only one remedy. Now, if somebody gets complaints of paralysis suddenly left-sided on a open air on a rainy day, Rustox. Joint pain, rainstorm on approach of. So on approach of rainstorm or a changeable weather, rainy changeable weather, millilutus. Limbs, rheumatic pain, drawing pains. It's drawing pain. यहाँ से यहाँ खींच रहा है. Drawing pains seems to be between the bones and the skin. Interestingly, bones and the skin. The pain seems between bones and skins. Worse in rainy and stormy weather, in cold, better by warmth, and particularly lying in the bed. It's lycopodium. Convulsions. Somebody is getting convulsions after getting feet wet. Cuprum met. Calcarea carb. Rustox. So after getting feet wet, that is only single cuprum. And after getting wet, that is Rustox, Calcarea, and cuprum both. All three. Now somebody gets faintness after getting wet in the rain. Sepia. Now somebody gets weakness in wet weather. Dalkamara. Somebody gets complaints after sitting on a wet chair. I think many people sitting in the park, sitting on grounds, on a wet ground, and they start complaining of a lot of things. So you can see these remedies like arsenic, calcarea, causticum, dalkamara, natrum sulph, nux vomica, rhododendron, rustox, silicia. Rainy weather MLs. I told you causticum, ignitia also. Wet getting heated when? Bellisp, rustox. Wet getting heated when? So ill effects of overheated you say generally. That's Bellisp, rustox both. Wet getting perspiration during. Rustox, Bellisp, clematis, colchicum, dalkamara. Now, wet weather, cold, damp, wet aggravation, children in tuberculous children. Dalkamara is the only remedy. Now, coming to the fever part. Fever, wet fever after getting wet. Calcarea, pulsatilla, rustox. Meningitis after getting wet. Rustox. So there is a rubric for viral infection fever in Murphy. Gelsemium comes to the top, but other remedies are also there. Aconite, arsenic, baptisia, belladonna, brynia, muxol, natrum mure, phosphoric acid, rustox. Can anyone explain me the difference between baptisia and gelsemium? Anyone?
यस सर बैप्टिशिया में ऑफेंसिवनेस ज्यादा रहता है जब हम टंग एग्जामिनेशन करेंगे.
Yes. Let me tell you, how do you differentiate in the cold symptoms and the fever symptoms? How do you vary that
First.
baptisia dena hai or gelsemium dena? Gelsemium has a very slow onset. The symptoms, if he's getting infected like 2 days back, on 3-4 day, he'll getting the symptoms. 4th day, 5th day, gradually the symptoms come very slowly. But here it comes with baptisia, everything will come with sudden, and they have sudden fevers. So there's a difference between baptisia fever and gelsemium fever. I hope I'm clear. Yes. I've already shared this video about baptisia and gelsemium, in Instagram. Yes. So dengue fever, Epidural perf comes to the rescue. But let me tell you, there are other remedies also. Arenia diadema has a lot of chills in the fever. Extreme chills. Baptisia, brynia, gelsemium, hemamelis, ipecac, merxol, nux vomica, podo, phylum, rustox, rus venata, senicula, sickle core, sulfuric acid. These are the remedies are very, very indicated in dengue fever. Don't just prescribe blindly Epidural perf. See if the symptoms are matching or not. So you'll find in dengue more Epidural perf, gelsemium, aconite. In first stage of dengue fever, ipecac, aconite, brynia, arsenic, rustox. First stage. In hemorrhagic dengue fever, hemamelis, sickle core, sulfuric acid, ferrum met, china, and arsenic. These are the remedies for hemorrhagic dengue fever. Now let me tell you, if you come across with the cases where platelets are going down and due to jaundice or due to dengue also, there is hemolytic anemia. Along with there is a problem in bilirubin levels, like due to jaundice kind of situation. And generally, it happens in hemolytic anemia. But in dengue, when you struggle with the cases of, I know many people would have given Carilica papaya, mother tinctures, and this blah blah, whatever remedies they're giving. Crotalus horridus always helps to the rescue, generally the low potencies, that is 6 and 30. If you start giving this, their platelets should come to the normal, I think within 24 hours. Yes. If you give 1 hourly or 2 hourly, you can check them in 24 or 48 hours to check whether your medicine is acting or not.
So
let
in
me tell
6
you.
and
Sorry?
in 6 and which potency?
30.
30.
Yes. So fever and rainy weather. Let us discuss fever. This is the most challenging thing. Causation of cold damp weather: Rainia diadema, Dulcamara, Merxol, Natronsul, Rustox. So start with A, Rainia diadema. Rainia diadema is a remedy. They have so much of chills, especially in rainy season. You know, Rainia diadema is a wonderful drug for trigeminal neuralgia also. Their trigeminal neuralgia gets aggravated in rainy season. And their, trigeminal neuralgia or face pains better by smoking. The only remedy you can find, that is Rainia diadema. If somebody has a pain on facial neuralgic pain, and if they smoke, the pain gets better. That's Rainia diadema. Rainia diadema has so much of chills that even covering of 10 to 15 clothes also, he'll get so much of chills. Yet, if you make him sit near the fire, he'll not feel better at all because he has so much of chills. So the workers who are working in rain, after that they get so much of chills. So it is written chill, long-lasting chills, long-lasting, and they are less sweaty. They are shaking 24 hours without heat. They're shaking. There's so much of chills, right? And warmth does not relieve at all.
Even in
So
sitting in front of fire, this is the remedy, right?
Yes, even if after sitting in front of fire, they don't feel warmth even 1% also. That's Rainia diadema. Next, Rustox. Rustox fever is like easily chilled and worse, least uncovering the pain in the limbs. Chills as if cold water is poured over them, followed by heat. So they get heat at least. So chills are followed by heat in Rustox. But in Rainia diadema, there is no heat at all. There is a difference. And Rustox people will be always like, increase or stretch the limbs. They'll keep on try to stretch the limbs. They feel better like this. They keep on doing it in the bed also. Influenza fever, restlessness, stiff, sore with aching of all bones, and the difference is epitorium perf. You can DD with epitorium perforatum, and also they get urticaria from rain. Coming up next, Dulcamara. Dulcamara is interesting, where chill is alternating with heat, icy coldness with pains, coldness in the different parts, icy coldness of the paralyzed part. Chill starts with their back and not ML by warmth. Aggravate in the evening. And chill, they have chills with the urge of urination. They'll keep on going to urinate or they keep on going to stool, and chilliness with thirst. And they have dry, burning heat all over the body. Now, magnum aceticum. How do you find magnum aceticum? Role of magnum aceticum in this rainy weather fevers. They have shaking chills in the evening with shooting pain in the head. No thirst. Chills with icy cold hands and the feet. Burning all over the body in evening when rising from the bed. Natrum sulf. Natrum sulf have fever with aversion to uncover. So they'll tell you to not to uncover. Tell me another remedy which has so much of chills and they cannot tolerate uncovering. Quick.
So Nux vomica.
Correct. So I'll tell you recently a case. He was sitting next to the AC down and he was getting completely chills, lot of chills. One of our intern only. And he was complaining that I'm going to the room and I'm getting a lot of chills. So we gave Nux vomica 0/1, and I think hardly 3 to 4 doses. He got the sweat breakout in 3 to 4 doses, and he was absolutely normal the next. And he was feeling sick since afternoon due to the change of weather and sitting near the cold air, that is AC. So that is the power of homeopathy. Right remedy when you select. Next, epitorium perforatum. Chill preceded by thirst with great soreness of aching in the bones. Chills between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. So early in the morning chills. And they are extremely prostrated during fever. They feel a lot of soreness in the body. pain all over as if broken. That is before the chills. So before the chills, they have extreme body aches. Pulsatilla. Pulsatilla are the people, they'll keep on coming and they tell, please doctor, check me, I have fever, I think. But generally what happens? They have sensation of heat without externally perceptible heat and the thirst is wanting. It is written by Hahnemann. Master Hahnemann has written about this. This is pulsatilla. Body hot, limbs cold, moaning during fever, keep on moaning during fever, chill about 4 p.m., chilliness without thirst, warmth of air aggravates, and they don't like stuffy room. They'll tell to switch on the fan. Yes, and before and during thunderstorm, they get worse. Ipecac. Ipecac is a remedy when you're tired of giving eupatorium perf. Ipecac has extreme body pains. You know, it's so deadlier than eupatorium perf. Yes. How? I'll tell you. Ipecac has a typical sensation. The bones were torn to pieces. Ipecac is an expectorant. And the fever is, they have very short chills and the long heat stages with coldness of hands and feet. The chill stage is very short and the heat stage is very long in Ipecac. And if the fever commences with the internal chill, which get worse with the warmth, is attended with the operation. So they can also complain with nausea, vomiting during on and off in the attacks. Even something is kept inside the chest, over the chest, they also complain with like this. And they have great lassitude and weariness during the chill. This is typical of Ipecac. Yes. Now let us discuss what other rain remedies will come to rescue us. First, amon carp. Amon carp are the people of dull, drowsy people, obese people, indolent. They have nothing to do in this weather. Simply lying down and with a morose mind. Aggravation, stormy weather. They are chilly, with great sensitive to cold, open air. And also they aggravates in wet weather. Aggravation by washing from wet, moist cloth and ML by warmth. ML by warmth. Blata. Let me tell you, Blata is a wonderful remedy for asthma, especially in rainy weather, which gets aggravated. How? Remedy for asthma, especially when associated with bronchitis, indicated after arsenic when this is insufficient. What do you understand by this? You're tired of giving arsenic, it is not responding, simply give Blata and see the magic. Now, when in which kind of patients? Tell me, acts best. It's written, acts best in stout and corpulent patients. I hope everyone is aware of corpulent term.
Yes.
What do you mean by corpulent? Anyone who has learned in our last sessions? What do you mean by
Double
corpulent
chin
person?
and very obese people.
Yes, very, very obese people, stout and corpulent. Excessive fat, and they cannot breathe at all. I think I have explained in Strophanthus. Yes, Strophanthus people are corpulent. So in acute attack, it acts better in low potencies. The higher being given in more chronic stages in the cases where aggravation in rainy weather. Even Clark has a rubric in temperaments, rainy weather cases aggravation in Blata. So Blata, keep Blata with you, not Q, keep 0/1, the best potency acts on everyone as a practical point of view. Blata, LM potency works magic. Also, you can use 30, but LM potency works much more better, especially in acute attacks also. Now, interestingly, Bellis P. Bellis P is a remedy where they get cheerful as soon as they see thunderstorms. And these are the people who will sit in front of what? Window and watch the lightning. So these are the people who will sit in front of window. But what happens? We have learned only carcinosin. So let me share you 3 remedies who loves to watch thunderstorms and lightning. Bellis P, sepia and carcinosin. So never ever forget about this. These 3 people are very, very cheerful. And you know, the depression, the sadness, everything go away as soon as they see thunderstorm. So mind cheerfulness, thunder and lightnings when you find Bellis P, carcinosin, sepia. Complaints of belly spee after ducking in cold water when overheated. That's what I told you. Ill effects of overheated. They love to enjoy watching thunderstorm, sepia, carcinosin, belly spee. Now, how do you differentiate with belly spee and sepia? Belly spee and sepia are very, very close remedies. Is even in dysmenorias also. Let me tell you, neuralgic dysmenorias. So belly spee is very often worse from heat, but sepia is worse in cold weather. Next, calendula. Calendula has deafness, especially in the damp weather surroundings with eczematous conditions. And at cloudy weather, as Cooper mentioned, the flower closes when the dark cloud passes over. If you see, that's calendula. Causticum, damp weather ml, warm weather warmth ml, and joint pain are better by rain. Dalkamara. Now, interestingly, hot days, cold nights toward the close of summer, just what we are seeing now, especially favorable of action of Dalkamara. Effects of damp weather, cold after exposure to wet, especially diarrhea. Patients living in damp, cold basements like natrum sulf. Interestingly, how do you differentiate? Dalkamara is the most thirsty remedy for cold drinks. Yes. If you open Boric, you will find there is a line written burning thirst for cold drinks, and it is more than phosphorus. You only think that phosphorus loves cold drinks. No, Dalkamara loves more than phosphorus, the cold drinks. That is Dalkamara. Lemna minor. Lemna minor has blocked polyps, allergic rhinitis, and asthma from nasal obstruction in wet weather. Dr. Burnett noticed that lemna minor patients have their nasal symptoms aggravated only in damp and rainy weather. All complaints aggravated, especially in heavy rain. Dalkamara, lemna minor. Now, how to differentiate calendula when calendula complaints get aggravated when heavy clouds are about, rhododendron in thunderstorms, and Dalkamara in damp surroundings and in foggy weather. Magnum aceticum. Magnum aceticum, their nose complaint feels stopped, cracking and blowing on nose. Their pain extends from other parts, extend to ears. And interestingly, Magnum aceticum has whistling tinnitus. CT बज रहा है sir कुछ. CT बज रहा है ऐसा लगता है कान में. That's a typical of whistling tinnitus. Deafness in damp weather. Magnum aceticum. Natrum sulf. We all know hydrogenide constitution. And they live in damp houses, basements, cellars. They are worse in rainy weather and in water in any form. They don't like it all. Feels every change from dry weather to wet weather. Worse music. They make them sad. They lie on left-sided. They worse by dampness of basement, damp weather, extreme sensitive to damp, wet bathing, watery foods, and residents near fresh water, especially standing water. So the people who are living where there is next to nala or canals, where there no flow in the water, you can definitely think of natrum sulf if they complain of anything. So that's why aphorism 5, like I told you, like whoever has studied aphorism 5, they have already explained you the environment factor, how responsible for the chronic disease or acute diseases. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Where the patient lives, that's a very important part. If the patient, yes. Nux moscata. Nux moscata has a spine stiffness, like I told you in damp weather. It's a sort of neck pain in damp weather, and they have great soreness of part, whichever part they lie. Let me tell you, Nux moscata is also a wonderful remedy for Sjogren syndromes. Yes, because they have typical dryness in the parotids, in ear, in the lips, in the tongue, in the mouth. They are extreme dryness. That is Sjogren syndrome's typical symptoms. So Nux moscata is wonderful remedy in that. Drawing pain in the muscles of nape, dropped in damp air. Constriction in the nape, head drops forward on chest. They have so much of constriction here. Tooth pain, toothache in cold damp weather, face deathly pale in damp air, typical of Nux moscata. Ocimum sanctum. Yes, ocimum sanctums are fevers that are prevalent in rainy damp weather. In rainy damp weather, patients present with slight catarrh or congestion in the bronchial tubes. That is ocimum sanctum. Ocimum canum. Ocimum canum is a wonderful remedy when lycopodium fails. Typically, in the renal cases where there is excessive, vomiting, they have nausea, extremely nausea, and they're continually vomiting. You can think of Ocimum canum, but this remedy gets aggravated in rainy, humid weather. and in also in morning in cold. Now, interestingly, this remedy, Penthorum sedois. Penthorum sedoides is a remedy which you can think of all the colds which starts with very sore throat. Interestingly, let me tell you, these are the remedy. This is the only remedy actually has constant wet feeling in the nose, with which no amount of blowing will reveal. That means they'll complain मेरा नाक हमेशा गीला रह रहा है, मैं जितना भी छींक रही हूँ वो निकल ही नहीं रहा है, मेरे को शांति नहीं मिल रहा है. That's the complaint. Constant wet feeling in the nose, which no amount of blowing will relieve. Discharge of thick pus-like streak with blood. Posterior sinuses feels raw, as if denuded of epithelium. In fact, post nasal catra of puberty. So there is a rubric: chest wet feeling, bronchia as if coryza is setting in, extending to downwards. Penthorum. Nose wet sensation, coryza would come on as if, that is penthorum. Face ulcer, nose wet feeling, not ML by blowing the nose. Penthorum. I'll explain you with a case. This was a case of 17 years, blonde, has a severe cough of several weeks. Words by talking or singing. She used to expectorate a lot of frothy greenish sputum. Pulsatilla didn't help. Phosphorus didn't help. Penthorum soon cured it. That is the power of penthorum. Next, phosphorus. Phosphorus is human barometer. Anxious about future of thunderstorms. Great anxiety, great sensitivity to external impressions of like light, sounds, odor, touch. Are worse before the thunderstorms also. Now let me tell you, if you struggle with the cases, especially after chikungunya, the body pain is not at all going away. Or rheumatic pain in every part of the body get worse in damp weather. Polyporous pinicola.
Yes.
Allen has written in rheumatic pain, aggravated rainy weather, the only remedy that is polyporous pinicola. Everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
So typically chikungunya pain are very worse and very difficult to treat. What happens? They keep on complaining of pain. They'll come to your clinic every day and they'll say pain नहीं जा रहा, pain हो रहा है, बहुत हो रहा है. Straight away give polyporous pinicola and see the magic. So what is the
Potency, sir. Which potency?
30. Fever, great lassitude, congestion of the head with vertigo, face hot, flushed, pricking sensation all over, headache about 10 a.m. with pain in back, ankle, and legs, increasing until 3 p.m. So 10 p.m. from 3 p.m. So from it starts with headache and starts away with all the pain, back, ankle, legs, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and they get gradually better in the evening. But restless at night from the pain in wrist of knee, rheumatic pains, and they get profuse perspiration. So there's a line: rheumatic pains in every part of body worse in damp weather. Think of polyporous
pinicola.
pinicola. Rust ox, better by motion, adapted to person of rheumatic diathesis, bad effects of getting wet, especially after being overheated, worse after midnight and in wet, rainy weather, affected parts are sore to touch. As soon as they walk, they feel better or continue motion. Now, the peculiarity of this plant that is it is more poisonous during the night. That's why night restlessness. Now, when they're bursting into leaf or any time in June or July, when the sun is not shining upon it, that's why they get a lot of aggravation in rainy weather. Rhododendron. Rhododendron is a remedy. Rheumatism in the hot season, and the modality is worse before a storm. So as soon as this weather, you can see the images which I have kept. As soon as this kind of weather comes, rhodo pains are aggravated. And typically, how rhodo sleeps? They cross their legs and sleep. Worse before a storm, phosphorus, rhodo. All symptoms reappear in rough weather, night towards morning, better after the storm breaks, warmth and eating. Sepia. Sepia is another remedy, like I told you. Respiration difficult after getting wet. Chin eruptions, papule, red base, burning, itching, smarting pain, especially in wet weather. Lumbar pain, cold weather after exposure to wet. Worse in morning, sitting, beginning to move, cannot lean back. That is sepia. You know, sepia back pains are better how? They sit with a pillow at the back. These are typical sepia lumbar, it gets better. You know, so you can differentiate like this. All the sepia people will take a pillow at the back and they'll sit like this on the support of pillow and they feel, I feel better like this only. If you remove the pillow, I have pain. That is typical sepia. So dysmenorrhea after feet getting wet, that is sepia. Washroom woman remedy, that is aggravates by laundry work, that is sepia. Dampness before thunderstorm, sepia. Interestingly, the icy cold, damp feet all day, like standing in cold water up to ankles. They have so much of coldness of feet. That's sepia. So how all complaints starts of sepia? Illness happened after being chilled and wet all night. Sepia. Synapis nigra. I don't know how many people know about this remedy, but this remedy cannot be denied in learning because it is a wonderful drug, especially hay fever with intense coryza, lacrimation and sneezing. Why I'm discussing this? Because this is the remedy which get worse in damp weather. So, throat feels hot, inflamed, scalded. The cough is barking in nature, which is relieved by lying down. Breath of mouth is very offensive. Another important symptom is sweat on the upper lip and in the forehead. The discharge is acrid and we have frequent stoppage of nostrils, great dryness in the anterior nares. Synapis nigra, asthma is like hay fever and they are worse, more frequent in damp weather. They complain in damp weather. Worse lying down, moving, better by sitting up in the bed with shoulder drawn forward, perfectly quiet. So they'll sit like this and they feel better. That is sepia. Synapis nigra. So there is another rubric, asthma, hay fever, annual, July 28 comes on and stays till first hard frost. Synapis nigra single remedy. Now, how do you compare Synapis nigra with other remedies? So let us learn. Synapis nigra resembles arsenic in the heat of the nose, but in Synapis, there is dryness and no discharge. The discharge of mercury, though excruating, the acrid is harder. It's thicker, sorry. The mercury discharge is thicker, excruating, acrid, and thicker. The cold of arsenic always settle in the nose, and the phosphorus cold is always settle in the chest. The arsenic patient is chilly and wants to be near fire all the time. Wants to be near in the fire all the time. The nose burns both externally and internally. That is arsenic. I hope everything is clear now.
Yes.
Last remedy, Ticorium verum verum. Ticorium verum verum are worse changing damp weather. All the polyps, fleshy, they comes hanging during the damp weather. Polypus worse in damp weather. Nose polyps in damp weather, two remedies. Lemna minor, Ticorium verum verum. So do's and don'ts. If you have kids and elderly people at home, they'll be so I'll tell them that allergy and cough can get aggravated. So avoid taking food from outside vendors, especially the gupchup lovers, the pani puri lovers. You should not eat in this weather. You get typhoid very easily, even viral hepatitis. Because they're infected by flies and bacteria. Always try to take filtered water and warm drinks. Use repellents. Try to avoid walking in the drainy areas. It can lead numerous fungal diseases in the feet and heels. Keep the umbrella, raincoat, take moderately hot food and drinks in this monsoon. Keep away the children to play in the rain and rainy weather. Dry your feet when they get wet. Avoid colds and cough by keeping your body moderately hot and dry. So don't go in AC rooms with wet hair and damp apparels. If you suffer from asthma or diabetes, avoid residing in any place with wet walls. It increases the development of fungus and can be especially hurtful. Drink of many eating herbal teas, particularly those of antibacterial properties. So this is a group. I don't know how many people are there in this group. This is a Telegram group of discussion. You can post cases. We can help. Everyone is there. We'll work as a team. And next, what is coming, I'm going to announce that is 2nd July. We are starting with session of MM. These are the remedies which will cover. That is 25 remedies, 5 sessions from 2nd July to 30th July. So for registration, you can ping me on 82800 So I would say thank you everyone for joining today. I hope it was beneficial. And with pleated hands, I would request please share the feedback after this session on the group. It is really helpful. And thank you so much for joining today.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when we should consider rubric catara, coryza, and sneezing?
Along with seasoning,
What
there is
is the
continuous
difference?
discharge in the nose, from the nose.
Coryza and catara
Yes,
differentiation.
yes.
Like when she...
Yeah, in Katra, there is a lot of congestion in the nose.
Okay.
Yes.
And coryza?
Both. There is a congestion along with discharge.
Both have this thing.
Yes, both are worse.
I didn't understand, sir.
In Katra, there is a lot of congestion in the nose, along with there is continuously sneezing. That is
Okay.
coryza.
Mm. Then coryza? Like
That I
when
told.
should we pick rubric? Rubric-wise, when should we pick that one? I'm asking.
You take coryza and wet weather aggravation. Katra, there will be always congestion. There is a lot of mucus. What is Katra? Katra is collection of mucus. There is a lot of mucus. There will be a lot of mucus in the nose, in the chest.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, I have one question, please.
Yes.
Sir, what's
Please ask.
the remedy of skin in damp weather? So one of my patient gets very aggravated in damp weather. Her skin looks very clear, otherwise the damp weather. But in especially damp weather or rainy season, she gets a lot of acne. She gets fungal acne. Like I have given her remedies, but she didn't cure. So what should I give her? She is just 17 years old and she's pale. In especially rainy weather or damp weather, her acne is getting aggravated too much.
What more complaints along with acne?
So her more complaints are just like hair fall in damp weather. Yes, along with acne. But sometimes acne cured and hair fall started, but sometimes hair fall cured and acne started, like alternate.
Okay.
And she's
Okay.
pale.
You,
She has scars on the skin due to acne.
okay. You can think of natrum mure and natrum sulf. You can see.
Sir, I
You
have
can
given
DD
her
between natrum sulf. What you have
natrum
given?
salt,
Natrum
but she
sulf.
didn't.
So do one
Yes.
thing. You post the case in Telegram. I'll tell you what has to be given. And also with the pictures. So it does make an impact and choose the right remedy.
Yes.
How's the build and all. Okay.
So please put a
Okay.
slide of
Okay,
Telegram.
sir. Okay.
Slides in the Telegram.
Sir, I
Okay.
have a question. Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Sir, what is the
Yes, please
differentiation
ask.
between Solanum lycopersicum and polyporus in influenza rheumatism after influenza?
In Solanum, there'll be like more of bursting pains, I believe. Is that written?
Yes, sir.
Bursting pains. Solanum, tuberosum, right?
No, sir. Solanum lycopersicum, tomato.
Lycopersicum. You say lycopersicum always. Lycopersicum has lot of in deltoid rheumatism. There is lot of deltoid rheumatism, and the pains are better in the lifting the hand. In deltoid, lycopersicum is more for frozen shoulder, as far as I remember. From even in the in the right arm. Yes, in the right arm. The frozen shoulder in the right arm, and the deltoid pains are left after influenza. So it's suppose a patient from suffering from fever, and then they have a frozen shoulder. You can think of lycopersicum. But in polyporous, every pain in the every part,
Yes.
na? Polyporous is generalized. Everywhere there is pain.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So Telegram group ID.
Sorry.
Telegram group.
Yes. You want to join in Telegram group?
Yeah, IDs.
ID, that is let's discuss failures. I'll post the group again in the WhatsApp group, in the JDS common group. So you can join again. So thank you so much for joining today. And I hope,
Sir,
yes.
what is the remedy of the nocturnal enuresis increase in rainy season?
Equisitum.
Equisitum, crozet. It's not like specific. You need to see what all complaints are there. If it's offensive, you can think of creosote also.
Okay, sir.
More symptoms are needed, but there are specifics, but you need to differentiate it well. Otherwise, you will fail drastically.
If there is a urine pass in 2 to 3 times at night.
See, depends. Now I tell you. If suppose a person gets wet, okay, at the night, and he
Okay.
passes, or he lives in a damp area or the damp room, and he passes all night, he passes urine. So there is another remedy. And suppose he got wet, and after that his nocturnal neurosis starts, another remedy. So you need to find out how and when it happened and what are the symptoms. Then I can tell you what has to be given.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, and please share feedbacks anywhere in Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp groups, whatever. Thank you so much for joining, and see you all
Thank
in
you, sir.
next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.